right. You can see retracting the last little thing.
There you go.
All of England counting down, all of the UK getting ready for launch. Here we go.
There's
There's the engine sliding.
They're the main boosters.
Here we go. And
Just waiting for liftoff.
You're going to see these fall away as the vehicle starts to pull itself away from
And
her.
we have
And
liftoff.
Tim's away.
Big cheer.
Good morning. I'd like to first welcome our school committee chair, Evan Vanaco, members of the school committee, Assistant Superintendent of Schools, Dave Thompson, State Representative Kevin Kuros, Principal of the 8F Maloney Elementary School, Carol Brown, Principal of the Millville Elementary School, Paul Hockey, the 5th grades at AFM and the 5th grade at MES, the Hartnett Middle School PTO, and all other guests. And I would always like to welcome, a warm welcome to our present 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. I know you're excited. I have seen it on your faces all day long. The energy that you brought into this cafeteria this morning, it's palpable, it's real, and it's great, it's amazing. I'm so proud that we are a school that it's okay to get excited about such opportunities like we have this morning and this afternoon. The program is available to you, and just a quick note, the expectation when you leave this assembly is to recycle the program. There are recycling bins on the wings as you exit in a little bit over an hour. The program is actually my learning style. I find it very helpful to know what doing at an assembly or at a gathering and when things might happen. We're going to watch a couple videos which just give you kind of a context about what we're going to do in roughly about 45 minutes or so. So the video that you just saw was of Tim Peake, a British astronaut who blasted off into space to board the International Space Station on December 15th, 2015. We are his very first school contact. And I gotta tell you, there's actually a country that's more proud of what we're doing than our own country, and that is the country of England. They are so excited at the fact that they have an astronaut aboard the International Space Station and that he is gonna be making contact with us. Again, we're gonna watch two videos which gives you a little synopsis over life on the International Space Station, and then I'm gonna introduce an invited guest who almost immediately will make a test contact to the ISS, and then we're actually gonna almost be on hold for about a half an hour while our invited guest makes a presentation. So I'm gonna start with just a video that I believe some 6th graders have seen already. It's just a little bit about the life on the ISS. So if you could just remain silent throughout that. I do want to quickly point out, in case I forget, behind you are live streaming videos of where the ISS is to your left. And if you look at it, it's going to be over us when we make contact. And then over to the right, and it seems like the contact or the video is down at this time, but over to the right, we may have a live video feed of the ISS and what they're recording. So it may be our planet Earth, it may be an arm of the ISS. Hopefully that video feed will be up in just a couple minutes. But focus your attention on this giant screen here, and I'm going to show you just a quick video about life on the International Space Station.
I'm up here on the International Space Station. So this is Note 2. This is a really cool module. Of course, most of these modules you'll see they have 4 sides, and they're put together. That way we can sort of work on a flat plane, either a wall a floor, another wall, or the ceiling. But you know, again, all you have to do is turn yourself and your reference changes. The reason I'm bringing that up is because this is where 4 out of 6 of us sleep. And so people always ask about sleeping in space. Do you lie down? Are you in a bed? Not really, because it doesn't matter. You don't really have the sensation of lying down. You just sit in your sleeping bag. So here's one sleep station right here. I'm going in right now. You can follow me if you want. So I'm inside. It's sort of like a little phone booth, but it's pretty comfy. I've got a sleeping bag right here that we sleep in, so we don't have sort of like a little bit of a cover. We don't fly all over the place. But you know, you can sleep in any orientation. I have it sleeping, feeling like I'm standing up right now, but like you saw, I'm on the floor. But it doesn't matter if I turn over and I sleep upside down. I can't have it, I don't have any sensation in my head that tells me that I'm upside down, so it really doesn't matter. The sleep station is also like a little office. We've got a computer in here. As you can see, we've got a couple little toys. I've got some books. I've got some clothes and other things that make it sort of like home. I'm coming out. And just for reference, that's one sleep station. This one's another, right here. There's one on the ceiling, if you want to call it, right here. And then there's a 4th on the other wall, over here. So all of us sleep in a little bit of a circle. All right, come on back. There's more to show you. I know that there's some questions about how to use the bathroom and how do you actually live in space like normal, like at home. I mentioned real quickly about getting up in the morning and brushing your teeth and washing your face. Well, how do you do that? Well, here's the bathroom essentially. You get up in the morning and we have a little kit and it has all the essential things that you need, like your toothbrush and toothpaste and brush. See how much better the brush makes my hair look? I'm just joking. It still stands up straight. It doesn't matter where you are. It's always going to stand up straight while you're up in space. A lot of people ask about toothbrush and toothpaste. So, luckily enough, toothpaste, you can do it upside right this way, is sticky, and so it sticks to your toothbrush. No problem. Another cool thing is that water sticks to your toothbrush too. If you can see it, I'll have some water come out. And water is pretty neat up in space. It'll stick to your toothbrush and it will make a big bubble. And that's just by surface tension. And then you can drink it. So a lot of people ask about what do you...
want to offer a quick clarification because if it is not said now in about 40 minutes or so. The contact that we make with astronaut Tim Peake will be an audio contact only. We will have his picture so that you can see what he looks like, but really no school ever makes the video contact. So I just want to make sure that's clear. That first video, I think, was one that was very interesting and very cool to see as far as an astronaut on the ISS kind of floating. We're not going to actually have that experience, okay? But the experience that we will get, which is just extraordinary, is the fact that we get to have almost 16 or 18 of our students' voices be heard in space. This is being archived for all human time, as far as our students in our towns of Millville and Blackstone making that contact. So I'd like to introduce a very distinguished guest at this time. He is a big part of why we were able to put this together. At the conclusion of this assembly, I will be sharing with you and recognizing two teachers that were really instrumental in bringing this together. This whole process started 14 months ago. And it would not have been possible without the two mentors that we had. One, his name is Charlie, and we're going to hear his voice on the phone. He actually lives in California. The other one is Dave Taylor, who is here with us, and he's going to share with you some remarkable things about the experiences that he has had in the world of STEM, in the world of NASA. Dave Taylor is the executive architect for IBM's Computer System Division. He travels worldwide for IBM designing complex computer systems for both commercial and government customers. He has been an amateur radio operator and examiner since 1974. He has spoken to the ISS and the astronauts aboard the ISS previously in a school similar to this. This is just his second time, though, making contact with a school. As a hobby, he also speaks. He actually has the license granted by the government to make a direct contact, believe it or not, in his leisure time with an astronaut or many astronauts aboard the ISS. There are not too many people in the world who the government would allow that. I'd like to introduce at this time Dave Taylor.
And I'd like to thank all of you for being here. I'm going to spend a little time talking about what we're doing, and you thought this was just going to be fun. There's a STEM component that I'm going to be covering today also. As we get our computer up here, it should be up in just a second. Okay, so let's talk quickly about what we're doing and how we are going to talk with the International Space Station. It's hard to see right now, but the International Space Station is really almost over Australia. It's going to be heading up and over Australia in the next few minutes. And right now, it's going to be 43 minutes from now is when the International Space Station is in range for us to have our communications today. Talking from a science perspective, have you ever seen a train go by, and when the train goes by, it goes as the train goes by? That's something called Doppler. I know the 8th graders are familiar with Doppler effect. This is very important with our communication that we're having with the International Space Station today also. So what happens is what we have on the top of the screen here is the channels, and this is not the exact channel. What happens, the channel that we'll be using to speak to the astronauts is a little bit different than this because they want to keep it secret so that someone else doesn't try to talk while we're having a conversation. You can have a nice private conversation. However, as Justin had said earlier, sometimes when the astronauts have leisure time, they want to have something to do, and talking to people like myself or other amateur radio operators is very interesting to them because it gives them something to do outside of just the science. And so when the astronauts have leisure time and they are able to do some hobbies, and amateur radio is a hobby, they would use these channels right here. Just want to get things going. Justin, wherever you are, we need to make that phone call. at this point. So what's going to happen right now is at 12 o'clock we are going to connect to the NASA Goddard Space Center down in Maryland, just south of Baltimore. As you can see with the line, this line going up here is the track that the International Space Station is going to take. And what happens is when the International Space Station is over northern Canada, that's when we're going to be able to start talking with them, and there's going to be a communication. We have a line of students who are going to be answering questions. Justin, you're ready to make that phone call. What happens is the International Space Station is going to be traveling at 17,000 miles an hour, so for the time from here to here is about 8 or 9 minutes, and that's the entire period of time that we get to talk to them. Once they go below the horizon, and this is essentially what the horizon is for us, when the space station is right here, we're going to lose our signal completely. So what happens is during this period of time, first off I'd like to mention that this is somewhat experimental in nature. We do this a lot. Chances are very high that this is going to work just fine. But something could come up and we might not be successful. And sometimes schools are successful having events like this, sometimes they're not. We think that with the weather being good, we spoke to the people down at NASA in Maryland already. We think that this is going to be just fine. But again, this is experimental and it's something that's important, but we can't be assured that it's going to work. Sure. Yeah, go ahead. As I said, this is an experiment. We're going to have to sort it out in a minute.
I feel like I'm in 7th grade calling my girlfriend for the first time. We're texting, right?
Hello, this is Hartnett Middle School. Hello, this is the Hartnett Middle School, ready for the International Space Station contact.
Okay, and your first and last name with the spelling?
This is Dave Taylor, Taylor.
Thank you. I'll join you with an open line. The call is being recorded. One moment.
Thank you.
Ken McCoy, one of the employees here at Goddard, maintains the station for us. It's on the bottom of the email I sent through. He's on the bottom of the email that Bob sent you.
Good morning, team. This is Dave Taylor, N1FCC, here in Blackstone, Massachusetts.
Hello, is this Hartnett Middle School?
Yes, it is, and we are glad to hear you this morning. And we understand we still have a little time before AOS, so we have some more discussions. But I know that you have some testing that needs to be done, and we just want to make sure that you are ready and prepared. If there's anything that we can do, just let us know.
Yeah, who am I talking with? This is Charlie.
Hey, Charlie, this is Dave Taylor, N1FCC.
Okay, Dave. Okay, yeah, we want to get some audio checks, and the guys at Goddard are now on too. So I hear you pretty fine and loud. That's where I'm at. But Dave and Ken and Bob. Ken, what's Ken's call sign, by the way? Dave? N3FZX. Foxtrot X-ray Blue. Okay, thanks. Dave, we didn't want to with this the problem.
You got two Dave Taylors on the phone today, one in Maryland, one in Massachusetts.
Yeah. We'll call it Dave 1. And we have Dave 8 and Dave 1.
That's right.
Why don't we go ahead and get Diana, are you still on the line here with us?
Yes, just give me a second. Let me get that recording started, okay?
Yeah.
Hold on for a minute, please.
Dave, we can go ahead. We're going to have to do some practice, make sure the audio levels are fine for the guys at KQE.
Okay, one moment, please. Just give me a second.
Boys and girls, you're doing an excellent job. Please remain silent so we can have this test completed.
We should probably have a student do the audio test.
Oh, yeah. We're going to need some students in line there.
Excuse me, this is the conference coordinator. And I just want to remind parties that this call is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Thank you. You may begin.
Thanks, Diane. Oh, John 89D, did you come on board? Okay. Dave, why don't we go ahead and get, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 students in line there so we can kind of go through the questions and let the guys get the audio level set.
Perfect. What we'll do, Charlie, is we'll use the students whose numbers are at the end of the line so they have an opportunity to test even in the event that we aren't able to have them in the true contact itself, okay?
Yeah, that's fine, sure. Dave 8, you guys are showing guys just coming flat over the top of Australia at the moment, correct? What about 35 minutes, 20 seconds out? Is that about what you guys are showing?
I'm showing 35:15 here, so it looks like we're pretty close. This is Dave 1. And we're going by your numbers because you're probably a little bit more accurate than we are.
Yeah, no, but the guys with the radio are the ones that command. Are you guys hearing us okay?
No, your audio is a bit low and I've got all sorts of voices coming in my ears. What? Did you say something?
Yeah, I'm showing ISS is about 34 minutes and 35 seconds out from you guys, out over the middle of Australia right now.
That's about right. We've got 34:30 now.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, now, school back in Massachusetts. Let's go ahead and get a few of your students lined up and let the guys at K6DE, let's have a listen and see what kind of audio levels we can get set up.
No. So your name is ready.
Hello.
Loud as you can.
Hello. This is Jake Carrington, the 7th grader at Hartnett Middle School.
Go ahead and answer. I'll go ahead and ask the question, Dave.
Hey, can you stand by a minute? We're not ready on this end. Gotta get,
Okay.
Gotta get a radio operator outside.
Oh, okay. All right, stand by, Hartnett. We'll do some quick practices to make sure the audio levels are fine, and then I understand you have a little bit of a program you want to have, and then about 6 minutes before the contact, we're going to start the official program, so to speak.
Absolutely. And Charlie, when it's T-minus 6, you jump right in and we'll be ready to go.
Yeah, and from there on in, then it'll be hopefully sort of good contact. And the first of the new year.
Hello, Matthew. I'm an 8th grader.
Good, Matthew, wait a minute. I got the guys down at where the radio's at. They want us to hold up a second, so hang on. So how many people have you got in the audience there, Dave? One?
We have just short of 600 students here today, so about 570 students from 3 schools.
Cool. All right.
Cool.
Yeah. No one or anything different like that?
So yeah, I mean, this is very exciting. We have 5th, 6th, and 7th, and 8th graders here today. So we've got a wide range of students. They're very interested in science, and they're actually interested in the technology required to put together this contact today.
Well, we'll be getting to that a little bit later, explaining how this is being done, but this is all via ham radio, so this is all run by volunteers. And we just have to be using one of the club stations that got a space station. Okay. K6UE, how you guys doing?
We're still trying to get the HT on the right frequency over here.
Okay. What they're doing on that middle of this.
Boys and girls, you need to remain silent, please.
Uplink and downlink.
So just to explain what's going on right now, Again, we're going to be talking to the International Space Station, which is currently going over New Zealand. There's an operator who has a walkie-talkie like the one I have in my hand, and he's going outside just in the neighborhood of the antennas to, hey, can you hear me? I can hear you. Just to make sure that they're doing the testing properly. And so what the operator is doing out there is he's just got a little walkie-talkie. He's going to test the radio link to ensure that the radio link that they have from the Goddard Space Center to the ISS is working properly before. Again, we want to make sure that we have the best possible opportunity for a good contact, so you do a little testing beforehand to make sure, you know, measure twice, cut once.
Okay, Charlie, we are set here.
Okay, Nancy, you said Ken's call is in for the FXZ or FDX?
My call is N3FZX.
FZX, okay. Okay, I got it. Okay, so let's get a couple of your 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of your students lined up, and let's run them through, have them give their name, their question, and make sure they say the word over, just like the real thing here, so the guys who've got it can test out the audio level. And your first one, come on.
Hello, I'm Matthew. I'm an 8th grader, and my question for you is that I know that you have to exercise a lot in space to keep your bones strong, but do you feel any weaker now that you're in space? Over.
Don't forget over. Audio loud and clear.
Okay,
and we'll say over when you're done. And Dave, back to you from N3IYI.
Hello, my name is Aiden Smith, and I'm in grade 6. And how much free time do you get, and what do you do with that free time? Over.
That's a very good signal from N3IYI. N3IYI, over.
Cameron, my name is Cameron Lee. I'm in 6th grade. Will popcorn pop in space? Over. Do you have popcorn as a snack on the ISS? Over.
Say over once.
That's a very good signal from N3IYI. Go ahead. Over.
Hi, my name is Evangeline Simpson. Is there anything from Earth that you missed because you can't get it or you can't accomplish it on the ISS? Over.
Very good signal. Back to you. Over.
Hello, I'm a 7th grader, and my question is, have you ever gotten a bad space headache or have a feeling of nausea? Over.
I certainly hope not, but I don't know.
Make sure you give your name and not just that you're 7th grader. Make sure you give your name so he knows who you are.
Very good. So, is that sufficient as an audio check?
Well, the question is that audio coming back from the K6DUE, is that good enough for your system?
Yeah, we're good. Everybody here is okay?
Yeah.
Good.
What do you think, guys? Hey, what do you guys think? Or Ken or Bob?
I think we're good.
Make sure we...
So, Charlie, should we just continue with our program now until you take over at T-6?
Yeah, go ahead and as I said, the thing that keep that in mind is that step right up to your microphone, speak clear and loud as you can. Don't yell, just like you guys have been practicing. Give your first name, question, and last, make sure you say the word over. We usually figure that out, but we do want to make sure the question is done before we flip it back over to the dial. But yeah, go ahead with it.
Okay, so we'll just leave the line open, and if you want to hear us, fine. If not,
no, everything is being left open right now.
There you go. Okay.
At this time, I want to introduce the 6th graders who have been in this study for the past 4 months, who hopefully in about 20 minutes or so will be asking questions directly to the ISS. Let's give them a round of applause.
sensitive. So getting back to the screen that I showed a little bit before, I talked to you a little bit quickly about the Doppler effect, how the train sound gets lower when the train passes you and goes further away. As you can see here, time for the call. As you can see here, we have a frequency display of two frequencies that are similar to the ones that will be used today, but are not exactly the same as the ones that will be used today. But you'll see that we are listening on a frequency that's 145 megahertz, and we're transmitting, if we were transmitting today, on a frequency that's 437 megahertz. And if you notice that over here on the right, we have the frequency is not changing. And this is the frequency that is expected to be either sent or received by the space station itself. Since the space station doesn't exactly know where we are, we have to make those corrections. And so you'll see here that the 437 number is changing a lot faster than the 145 number. And again, that's because the signal, frequency of the signal, the higher it is, the faster that effect has on the changing frequency. Because again, the secret is if you want to have the best possible contact, we want to make sure that when that signal is received on the International Space Station, that it's exactly the frequency that they're expecting. So we're doing all the hard work so that they don't have to. Now, speaking from the technology, and certainly Charlie and Dave and the team will talk about exactly what they have at the Goddard Space Center, I brought an example of the equipment that I use when I talk to the International Space Station on a regular basis. And it's not a regular basis, I do it periodically. One of the aspects of the hobby that I'm also interested in that's similar to this is that we have satellites in space right now that act as reflectors or repeaters. And so what happens is I'll be sitting in southern New Hampshire, there'll be a satellite coming over, I will bounce my signal and I can speak to people in different states or people in different countries. The equipment that I use when I make these contacts is what I have here on the table today. And as you can see, this is an antenna that I traditionally use. It's a handheld antenna. And if we had made arrangements, which we did for today because this is really important, we wanted to make sure that it was done correctly, I could, with my little 5-watt walkie-talkie, point my antenna at the International Space Station as it goes across and have my conversation. And so what happens is, again, since the International Space Station is going at 17,000 miles an hour, or the communication satellites that I have licensed ability to use that are also going at 17,000 miles an hour, I would be tracking both the change in the frequency and also tracking as it went across the sky. Now what you'll see from the picture on the screen today is we were very, very fortunate today. As you can see the yellow line, when we have our contact, which is going to occur in just about 22 minutes, the International Space Station, the contact's going to start when they're over northern Canada, it's going to end when they're kind of over Bermuda. But during this period of time, I would be moving my antenna and moving those frequency channels to make sure that the signal that is received and sent, that is received on the International Space Station is exactly the frequency that we're looking for. And so what happens is there's a little bit of math involved. Fortunately, there's a lot of software, like the software that they're using down at NASA Greenbelt, which is a little different than the software that I traditionally use, that we have on the screen right here. But you can see that earlier this morning, about an hour and a half ago, there was a pass of the International Space Station, and if we had made arrangements or if it was appropriate leisure time for one of the astronauts in space, I could have taken that antenna out in the backyard of the school and possibly made contact with the astronauts at that time. Traditionally, the International Space Station is in the same footprint of where we are 4 to 5 different times a day. And so what happens is that this track that you're seeing, the International Space Station is just going in a straight orbit. It's going in a circle around the Earth, but because the Earth is turning, this hour when it goes overhead, it's going to be here in an hour and a half. At the same time, an hour and a half from here will be somewhere over Louisiana, then somewhere over Mexico. And that's, as the Earth is rotating, would really determine who you can talk to and when. And so what happens is that if you're going to talk to the International Space Station, you have a few opportunities during the day, but then again, there's no assurance during that time that one of the astronauts is going to have his radio on and be willing to talk. And so there's a few times during the year that they are especially active or especially interested in communications. When I last spoke to the International Space Station, it was during an event in June where there were a lot of radio operators on the air trying to talk to the International Space Station. And I was actually quite fortunate because what happened, much like this past year, the International Space Station had already gone off the eastern seaboard and it was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when I tried to make my communication so I was not distracted with 5 or 10 people simultaneously trying to talk to the International Space Station. So it's hard, it's challenging, but it's fun, and it's a place where you can really use science. We talk about STEM, we talk about the STEM technology, we talk about getting good jobs. I became an amateur radio operator or a ham radio operator back in 1974. Back in 1974, I was a junior in high school, but there are people who are absolutely your age who have taken a test, got the necessary equipment, and they certainly have the license and the ability to speak to people through satellites or speak to people on the International Space Station. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about the technology. As I said earlier today, this is my 5-watt walkie-talkie, and with that antenna, this antenna, the multiple elements of this antenna focus the energy, and so if I'm pointing directly at the space station with only 5 watts of power, I can focus all 5 watts of that power directly at the International Space Station. That's why we're using this tracking software, because actually down at the Goddard Space Station, at the Goddard Space Center, I'm guessing that they have automatic tracking equipment that is moving their antennas as the contact's going by, so they don't have to physically point and move and hope that their aim is good. So, one of the reasons why we're working with the team at NASA, and thank you for participating, is because they've got some nice equipment that allows them to improve the odds of having a good signal. Now, we talk about the radios that are involved, and they'll speak specifically about the radios that they have. These are the radios that I use when I'm talking to the International Space Station, and as you can see, I have 2 radios, and these aren't big, giant transmitters with thousands of watts of power. This transmitter here is a Yaesu 857 model, who cares? But the critical piece of this is that this has about 50 watts of power. So this is applying the equivalent of a 50-watt light bulb of energy. Instead of turning it into light like a light bulb, it's turning it into radio energy, which is then pointed towards the International Space Station. This radio is even lower power. This is just a 5-watt radio, and as you can see from before when I talked about the Doppler shift and how the frequency changes, you'll notice if we're watching this during the contact itself, these numbers are going to start changing very, very quickly, especially once the International Space Station passes us. And so what happens is, certainly the folks down at Goddard, and certainly when I'm doing it at home, I have my computer controlling both the frequency and the antennas that are moving. So the thing is that it's fun, it's exciting, but also it doesn't necessarily take much money if you're interested in this and you're interested in science. I brought a little piece with me that I bought on eBay. It's got a little antenna here, and it's just got a USB stick. And this is actually a European television decoder. It's called a DVB-T stick. It cost me $15. And with this $15 device, I can sit and listen to the International Space Station as it's going over. I can listen to people on radio channels. There's, a lot of local radio communication that goes on. And again, if I have an interest in these kinds of technologies, for very little money, for $15, it's possible to become active and become involved with this kind of technology. And the thing is as we're moving into a more computer-centric environment, as we're moving into a more science-centric environment, the consideration of the software that is driving this graphic display, the software that's driving the tracking of my radios, this is just standard programming. This is, people are using Python, people are using BASIC, people are using, standard languages. The thing is that people who have an interest in science, who have an interest in technology, have the ability to get good jobs. I know it's a little early, you're not too worried about good jobs at this point, but the consideration is that there is always a bright future when people have good skills in science. Even if you are going to be focused on the arts, having an understanding of technology, having an understanding of how things work can actually really, really be helpful for you. And so the thing is that today I think part of the reason that we have all of you involved with this today is say, hey, this is fun, this is exciting, and this is just a little bit more than just school books and schoolwork and things like that. The consideration is that with a little bit of work, with a little bit of study, you can be in a very strong position for your futures, and it puts you in a really great place. So, from the communication status right now, it looks like we're about 13 minutes out. And as you can see that right now the International Space Station is somewhere over Hawaii, kind of. I'm not exactly sure, but it looks like it's over Hawaii. And again, the consideration here is that it's moving very, very fast. And you can see that if we wanted to talk, for example, when I had my contact in the contact that I had previous to this, as your principal had mentioned, I did a very similar program to this for the Auburn Lewiston schools in Maine. They had their station that we communicated through was down in South America. So, for example, if we wanted to have our school communications today from South America, we would wait, that yellow line would be down here in South America. So there's a lot of schools around the world that are doing this. It's very, very interesting. Talking about technology, talking about futures, talking about some of the things I've done that Mr. Cameron had mentioned earlier. Prior to getting actively involved with this school kind of work, I actually did a lot of work down at NASA. I've been to 6 launches of the space shuttle. I've been to the top of the launch pad. I actually was even given, as a gift, I have a tile off of the Space Shuttle Endeavour that was given to me as a gift for the work that I have done. And the thing is that, again, it's just a matter of having interest, showing passion. As Mr. Cameron said today, that he could feel the energy in the room, the excitement in the room that we had today. What we need to do is we need to continue with that excitement after this event, find out how it's done, find out what we're doing, and find out how we can better be involved. I mean, the critical thing is, again, my career, I started my career working with power plants. I then moved to computer technologies. That got me a position where I was working with NASA. That got me a position where I was able to be at the NASA Space Center during six launches of the Space Shuttle. I've been I have physically been inside the Space Shuttle Discovery. I've touched each one of the shuttles as they were being maintained and being repaired. I actually have a funny story. One of the funny stories that I have regarding the space shuttle. I was working on a computer system in what was the maintenance hangar for the space shuttle, and I dropped a screw. I dropped the screw on the floor, and it bounced away. I was required by NASA to find that screw. And the reason I was required by NASA to find that screw is if that loose screw had gotten into the shuttle cargo bay, and when the shuttle was going at 17,000 miles an hour, it came out and hit the shuttle, it could cause the shuttle to crash. I sat for 2.5 hours in that hangar to make sure that I found that screw. And what does that say? That says a couple things. That says, first off, this work is very, very important. This work requires attention to detail, and it's exciting and fun. You know, the thing is that, you know, I come back years later after that screw story, and actually it's a very interesting story to share. It's a very interesting story to tell, and people say, well, why do you care? What's a screw? You know, what's this? When I went into the shuttle hangar, they were so careful, I had to tie my glasses to my head. I couldn't just wear my glasses. And I can't see any of you with my glasses on. They were very, very so careful. And the thing is that, why are they doing that? Because they want to keep the astronauts safe. They want to make sure that everything goes smoothly, everything works smoothly. They want to make sure that the technology that they're using works very well. And I was in an environment where I had the luxury of working throughout the Kennedy Space Center, and I had over 500 computers deployed throughout the Space Center, and I was maintaining them. And you sit there and say, how do I do that job? What skills do I need to do that job? And it's like, I need passion, I need understanding of science, I need understanding of technology. And sometimes just being in the right place helps a lot too. But the thing is that if you study well, if you work hard.
For a second.
I think we're getting ready for Charlie to take over. Charlie, you about ready to take over?
Yeah, sure am.
So I hope I didn't bore you guys down there in Goddard.
Not at all, Dave.
Good deal. So I'm going to turn it over to you. And again, I'd like to thank the entire Goddard team and Charlie and the MSAT team for helping with us today. I mean, we've got 600 very excited students.
Great. Now, a couple questions. John, 89D, did you come on board? Yeah, here, Charlotte. Thanks, John. Justin, were you going to be speaking in a few minutes, or is Dave going to do that?
I believe Dave is going to do that.
Okay. Your guys call, so whenever I get to that point, let me know. Step up and tell who you are, I guess.
Sure.
That sounds fair? Okay. And a couple reminders for everyone. Make sure all the students are lined up, ready to go.
Yep.
And as soon as your questions asked, step out of the way so the next student can move right into the slot. Time is money, so to speak, so we'll want to make sure that we try to get as many students through. We have kind of a long list. I don't know whether we'll do it or not, but we've got 23 questions. Hopefully we'll get to them all. You can give a big thanks at the tail end after we're all done. And make sure everybody's got their cell phones and pagers turned on. They either turned off or turned on to the pager mode or vibrate mode kind of thing.
Charlie, can I just say something to my student body for a second?
Sure.
Thank you. So boys and girls, you're doing an excellent, excellent job. This is not the time to leave because we're about to make our contact. Do me a favor. If you can't hear the question well, we'll provide copies of the questions after this. So if you know the students who are up here, you can then say when you point to it in print, oh, that was the question. Also, if one of the questions or one of the answers might be funny, if you talk and share that with the neighbor that you felt it was funny, we may be losing these students opportunity for questions. So you have done a fantastic job, but the most important time to be silent and let these students get up here to ask their questions is in T minus 6 minutes, 12 seconds. But Charlie, that's your cue right there.
Yeah, right. Diane, you could go ahead and open up all the conference lines for everybody now.
All lines are open.
Okay. Here we go. Hello everyone, this is Charlie Fan AJ9N, your amateur radio moderator for today. Through the help of amateur radio volunteers and the crew on the ISS, we hope to soon establish ham radio contact at the International Space Station as it flies more than 200 miles above the Earth. over the central U.S. Right now, we're the far western part of Canada. They'll be flying on the northwest to west to southwest to south to southeast track. This is all accomplished with ARIS, amateur radio on the International Space Station. The ISS is flying over, it's like just coming up over western Canada, and whizzing along at about 17,500 miles an hour. This contact will be performed using the Amateur Radio Television Network, a worldwide network of amateur radio ground stations that enable students to contact the ISS. ARIS is a consortium of ham radio volunteers from 9 nations that develop and operate the amateur radio station on the International Space Station. Some members of ARIS are the American Radio Relay League, the Worldwide AMSAT Radio Amateur Satellite Corporation, ESA, Canadian Space Agency, ESA, European Space Agency, JAXA, Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and Roscosmos, the Russian Federal Space Agency. The amateur radio station that will establish contact with the ISS is K6DUE in Greenville, Maryland. Will operate by Dave, W8AAF, Bob, N3IYI, and Ken, N3FDX. We also have with us John Sojovich, AG9D, who will be providing audio on the Echolink and IRLP systems. Thanks, guys, for helping us out. We have about 404 minutes to contact time. Our contact today is with Timothy P., KG5BVI, who are operating NA1SS on board the ISS. Timothy is from England. Timothy will be talking to students at the Frederick W. Harnett Middle School in Blackstone, Massachusetts, USA. The ham radio contact coordinator for the school is Dave Taylor, N1FGC. The ARIS mentor for the Frederick W. Harnett Middle School is yours truly, Charlie Savannah, H9. We've asked, now, I'm not sure it's going to be Principal Justin Cameron or Dave Taylor to give us a brief explanation on a little story about Frederick Harnett Middle School and the students taking part today. Guys?
Yes, this is Principal Justin Cameron, over.
Go ahead, talk.
Okay. So I just want to share with you, and Tim Peake, I believe, had received our, what is called a story. We are a school in Massachusetts. Our school is actually 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. We are a total population of students of about 420. We welcome 140 5th graders from the schools of Millville Elementary School and A.F. Maloney. We actually are a regional middle school, meaning that we have 2 towns, Millville and Blackstone, that come together here at the middle school. And this is a middle school that was constructed in 2003. So we are in, it's about 12th year of operation. You want more information?
No, that's great. Thanks.
Can I do one quick thing to just archive this, how my students usually archive it?
Go for it.
I'm going to take a selfie.
Okay, we're about under 2 minutes out. Dave, Bob, or Ken, you guys want to explain how you're going to handle the contact from K6DUE? Go ahead.
Thank you. I'll make this real quick. We have a radio station here in a small room on the roof of one of the buildings at the Goddard Space Flight Center near Washington, D.C. We have antennas outside on the roof that will track the space station across the sky. We have computers showing a display probably like the one you've got up there, just where the station is at any time. So we'll be tracking that. I will be switching the radio between transmit and receive. Every time I hear someone say over, that's how we make sure that the voices are going in the right direction, up from the students, down to the astronauts. So we're looking forward to a good contact. Right a minute away, so I'll turn back to Charlie, then I'll get back here.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. Remember that we are doing an ISS. The contact with the ISS is an experiment, so we never tell the result, positive or negative, until the experiment is over. And students do not forget to say the word over, as the teachers point out. About 30 seconds The station should be coming up over Green Belt. So Dave, Bob, and Ken, it's all yours. Good luck.
Okay, thank you. I will start calling momentarily. You're going to hear a hissing sound when I turn down the squelch on the radio. That just increases its sensitivity so we can hear the signal just as soon as they start calling. And when I've got a good enough signal with Tim on the space station, I will tell you at the school to go ahead with the first question. Here we go. NA1SS, NA1SS. This is K6DUE calling on schedule. Over. NA1SS, NA1SS. This is K6DUE calling. Over. NA1SS, this is K6DUE. I can start to hear you coming up through the noise, but still not quite comprehensible. Try it again, we'll see if you've climbed high enough in the sky. Over. Okay, I believe your signal is getting strong enough. The voice level is still down a bit, so make sure you're talking very close to the microphone, right up against your lips. And we'll let it go there. School, go ahead with your first question.
Hi, my name's Christina, and I was wondering, what's your favorite food on the ISS? Over.
Hi Christina, this is JC talking to you, and as you can probably tell, I've seen this, and my favourite food is a bacon sandwich, which I managed to get into a kid, and I've allowed about one of those every week, so it's my Saturday morning treat, the bacon sandwich.
Hi, my name is Hassan, and I was just wondering, is the oxygen you breathe on the ISS recycled, made, or brought up by supply machines? Over.
Hi Hassan, that's a great question. Well, you know, initially the oxygen was all brought up here on supply vehicles, but now we're trying to recycle as much as possible, and we make oxygen out of water using electrolysis. So H2O becomes hydrogen gas and oxygen gas, and then we even use the hydrogen gas mixed in with the carbon dioxide that we breathe to make more water. So we try and recycle as much as possible on board the space station. Over.
My name is Lucas, and my question is, does the International Space Station make noise? What causes the noise, and how do you deal with it? Over.
Hi Luca, yes, there's quite a bit of noise up here depending on what experiment's going on or which segment we're in. Mostly the noise is caused by ventilation fans, which is what we need airflowing so that we don't get pockets of carbon dioxide. So we just basically deal with the noise you deal with it. But if you really want to speak, you can put the earphones in, please. Over.
Hi, my name is Haley, and I was wondering, on the ISS, do you eat more or less than you did on Earth? Over.
Hi Haley, I'm eating about the same as I did on Earth now. Initially for the first 2 weeks I probably ate less just because I was getting used to space and didn't really know how much I needed to eat. But suddenly I found my appetite again, so I'm probably eating just as much as I did on Earth. Over.
Hi, my name is Mallory. I was wondering what fun activities you do on the space station. Over.
Hi Mallory, great question. I've only been up here 2 weeks, and so for me the most fun I can have is just going to the window and looking down on beautiful planet Earth. And every time I go there I see a different part of the planet. I always take my camera, and that's the most fun thing. I think that and also being able to call friends and family, and of course meeting people like you trying to have regular. It's all great fun. Over.
Hi, my name is Aiden Murray, and I was wondering, how do you wash your clothes? Over.
Hi Hayden, well you know we can't really wash our clothes up here, so we just wear them a long time, and for example our sports kit we get to change out once a week, but a pair of trousers has to last us at least a month, and then we just put on a new pair. Over.
My name is Alan Catelli. What is the wind temperature in the ISS?
Caitlin, I think the strangest experience was probably getting to the International Space Station, you know, to be launched into space on that Soyuz rocket, then to go through the whole docking, rendezvous and docking procedure, seeing the space station coming towards you, this huge great space station. I think that was probably for me the strangest experience.
Hi, my name is Natalie. Do you get to bring one or more personal possessions to the ISS for your time in space? If so, what do you bring? Over.
I'm Natalie, yes, we do get a small allowance, and you know, I pretty much filled up mine with photographs and letters to family, which is lovely. So I've got a small crew quarter, and I've got all the walls are plastered now with photographs of friends and family and letters from home, so it keeps me connected with my friends and family back home. Over.
Hi, my name is Ariana. I was just wondering what inspired you to be an astronaut. When did you realize this? Over.
Hi Ariana, it's a great question. I've been inspired by many things throughout my life, but you know, I followed the space program very closely. And when I became a test pilot, for me, to have the opportunity as a test pilot to become an astronaut was just the pinnacle of my career. And I was inspired by many of the astronauts I spoke to, asking them about their career and what it was like. And I decided that was the route I wanted to take.
Hi, my name is Logan. I was wondering, how is sleep in microgravity different in space? Is it a restful sleep? Over.
Hi Logan, I'm enjoying sleeping in space. Yes, I don't have any problem sleeping at the moment, and I just like to float around in my crew quarter, so I don't tie myself down. It's only a small crew quarter, so occasionally I bump off the wall, but it doesn't really wake me up, and it's quite fun to just float there. It's a lot of fun in fact. Over.
Hi, my name is Jessica. What are some dangers of being on the ISS? Over.
Jessica, well, we're always cautious on the space station of things like a depressurization if you were hit by a micrometeorite. We'd always try and avoid any fires on board the space station that was or any sort of toxic atmosphere. They're the three main dangers. But we practice those things, and we're always trained to do something like that.
Hi, my name is Myra, and I am wondering, are you on Twitter? If so, would you be able to send out a tweet either saying hello to us or saying that you spoke to FWH here in Blackstone, Massachusetts? Over.
Hi Myra, yes I am on Twitter, @Astro_TV, likewise we can over John Kelly out here, we're all on Twitter, so we will definitely send out a tweet after this podcast to look after that one.
Yes?
Hello, my name is Joshua, and I was wondering what type of tools do you use on a spacewalk, and where do you keep them while working? Over.
That's such a great question, but it depends on what we're doing. In fact, it's about so many times myself and Chris Vogel when we're doing the space system, we have to replace the system outside the solar panels. So we take the rapid trenches, the power drivers, throttle drivers, and also even the like running things don't go very well. So it really depends on what the job we were doing. We have a small back about the size of about a minute
Hi, I'm Thomas. What jobs or tasks do you do daily on the ISS? Over.
Hi Thomas, well there's a number of things you can say going like the water system, like all of our where it's the drinking water, and that's something that we have to
We're going to continue because you can still hear us. But as you can hear, we're starting to lose contact a little.
Hi, my name is Emma. What is your favorite place to be on the ISS and why? Over.
take for an astronaut to regain their strength, muscle, and bone health once they are back on Earth? Over.
Can't believe we've launched it over the horizon now.
Yeah, I didn't, okay, I think we lost probably about a minute before schedule and all that. So.
Yeah, just about. I was hoping it would come back in, but
okay.
Went down fast.
I think this was an excellent, we got many students through though. I think this was an excellent contact. Thank you to the team.
Okay, in closing here, ladies and gentlemen, we have shared a moment of history. Amateur radio station K6DUE in Greenbelt, Maryland, operated by Dave, Bob, and Ken. Contacted Timothy Peak, KG5BBI, aboard the International Space Station. Talking with students at Frederick W. Hartnett Middle School in Blackstone, Massachusetts, USA. And congratulations to the students at Hartnett Middle School and the other three schools that came in. I would also like to thank John, AG9D, for the IRLP and Equity Connection. Now for the International Volunteer Team of Airs, including the Radio Amateur Satellite Corporations around the world, Radio Amateur, the American Radio Relay, ESA, JXA, NASA, and Roscommon. This is Charlie Santa, Amateur Radio Operator AJ9D. Send my greetings to all of you in amateur radio terms. 73 best wishes. So I think, Diane, you can also stop the recording now.
Thank you.
Thanks, team.
So Hartnett Middle School, what'd you think?
Okay, Charlie, thank you very much. We're going to disconnect now, all right?
Did you guys have any TV or radio or newspapers show up?
We had a number of dignitaries and press here at the event today. Yes, we did.
Okay, great. All right. So, wow, congratulations, and we'll be signing off with everybody.
Thank you, Charlie. N1FCC out.
Okay.
Can we give a round of applause to Dave Taylor and all the sixth graders? We are almost done. It's really hard to really understand the significance of a moment or a day until after, sometimes you don't realize until many years after. I do recall when a bunch of Hartnett Middle School students went to a state conference in Worcester. It was actually a stand-up to bullying conference. And I was just so excited and so proud because there are so many times that our students, when networking and sharing with the other students that were from other middle schools in Massachusetts, they were sharing the wonderful, amazing things that this middle school has done. This is yet one of those amazing things that if you happen to have a cousin who goes to school, say in Milford or in Franklin or in upstate Rhode Island, certainly he or she may be sharing what school or the pride that he or she has in that school. But I think this is yet another thing that you can share about our middle school, about the Townsend Millville, the town of Blackstone, and be proud of. Tim Peake has over 3 million Twitter followers. At a time that I'm not exactly sure, he has agreed to tweet out a hello to all of us. You know, that is, and as 8th graders remember this when they were 6th graders, that is putting our learning not on a state stage, not on a national stage, but a global stage. And the reason why we had the questions that were asked, even though we lost connection with Tim Peake, is because those questions will be archived in history. And this was truly a historical moment. If nothing else chronicles this historical moment, I have a data point, and that data point is this: 5. 5 students absent today. We don't even have that on MCAS. Usually MCAS we're about 8 or 9. That is a true data point. The fact that we all knew this day was coming. We understood the importance of it. We understood that even though you're not in a classroom, you are learning. And I always tell my teachers, one of the best data points to whether or not your lesson is engaging and your lesson engages all of you is the sign-out sheets. How many students signed out during the time that we actually made contact? How many students went to the bathroom? That went to 0. That went to 0. So if teachers could find that same amazing component of gathering their students in, and all of a sudden you're surprised when a bell does ring. I want to just recognize for a second a couple people who started this process 14 months ago, and I want to just bring them to stage very quickly. First of all, I want to recognize somebody who goes unrecognized, but with everything that we do in this middle school, her fingerprints are all over whatever we do. And she is a big, big instrumental part in whatever successes we have as a middle school. I think she has stepped out, so I'm going to have to give her her gift a little later, which is okay, but I want us all to recognize Mrs. Levitt. If I could call to stage, please, Mrs. Dextrace and Mrs. Laird. So what was cool about this assembly is, thanks to the help of all the custodial staff here at the middle school, this was all set up yesterday. And the 3 of us were standing here, and it really felt like we were there Christmas morning, and all the presents were out, and we were more excited for all of you than we were for ourselves. But make no mistake about it, we were pretty excited ourselves as well. This process started 14 months ago. I did what I did with Mrs. Ryan about a year and a half ago. I looked at the fact that our chorus was singing at the Empire State Building, and I said, oh, what a great idea that is. Not understanding how much work needs to be put into it. About 14 months ago, I went to Mrs. Dextrace and I went to Mrs. Blair, and I said, what an amazing opportunity. The last middle school that did this was in 2005. Let's do this. So with the grit and the perseverance that they showed, I want to present this gift, which reads FHMSS, FWHMS, ISS Contact 1516. And what I'm doing here is combining the last 3 years of our school themes. It takes grit to bring such remarkable learning to stage, and for choosing the moon. So I want to present this frame with the picture of all the 6th graders who asked questions up here to Mrs. Laren and Mrs. Dexter. This is our last presentation. One of the things that makes me so proud, and I know it makes Ms. Vogt proud as well, is we always make sure that whatever it is that we're teaching, all the intelligences are a part of that. And I love the art component that was a part of this International Space Station assembly and study. I'm not sure if this is Logan's or if this is Jordan, but why don't Logan Humphreys and Jordan Harrington please come to stage, because you are our winners of our International Space Station patch design.
So this is Logan's. And is that yours? Yep, and this is Jordan's. Give them a round of applause. Finally, I do need to thank all the people who were behind the scenes, especially yesterday and today in bringing this together. So these are people who offered their help or great support yesterday and today. A huge thank you to, again, Mrs. Levitt, Dr. Laporte, Mrs. Oliveira, Mr. Hebert, Mr. Boyan, Mr. Hebert, Mr. Lynch, Mr. Lear, Ms. Blanchard, Mr. Ireland, Mr. Martins, and again, Mrs. Dectrace and Mrs. Laren. I want you to appreciate a few of those names that I shared. A few of those names I did share were responsible along with the members of the basketball club yesterday, were responsible for setting up these 600 chairs. And they will be helping breaking this down to turn this back into our cafeteria. 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, let's give a warm goodbye to our 5th graders.